Okay, good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to see so many people here watching all the presentations. For those of you that don't know NeoQuest, we've been doing video quality assurance and analytics for about 13 years now. Early days, we worked a lot with the cable operators, moving on to IPTV. For the last 5 years, we've been working a lot with adaptive streaming, OTT, content providers, and we have over 600 customers worldwide, and at least 60 customers that we're working with on adaptive streaming delivery and OTT video. So over the last 18 months, we've been doing a huge amount of research and innovation in the space of video analytics. And what I wanted to do with you today was just share some of the things that we've been seeing, some of the things that we're seeing operators do to try and monetize the video experience through the use of analytics. Now, some operators may not be able to use the analytics in ways they'd like because of regulation and things like that. But I'm going to give you an idea of what's happening out there at the moment. So I'm going to talk a little bit about a monetizing strategy, video delivery complexity. The video delivery complexity that is coming in this industry is unprecedented. The complexity is just incredible, and we'll go through some of that and some of the new terminologies that you'll see. I'm going to talk a bit about advanced operational and behavioral analytics. We're going to talk a bit about integration with big data systems, and then I'll conclude at the end. So, monetizing video. There are three phases that I see in monetizing video. The first one is quality. We've been doing this for a long time, and I can tell you that video is unforgiving, and history is repeating. We can see the same things happening now with OTT video delivery that we saw with cable video delivery in the beginning and IPTV delivery. People are making the same mistakes. They're assuming that the video will work because adaptive streaming is HTTP based and it's adaptive. And very quickly we get called in to help and see if we can diagnose where the issues are with these systems. What I mean by video is unforgiving is that video will find problems in your network like nothing else. We have customers that use video, don't even have video services that they're delivering, but they use video across their network just to identify where the hotspots are in their networks because they know that video will find those holes and find those faults. It's quite incredible what video will highlight when you use it to test your network. The other reason video is unforgiving is when you look at customers. Customers are fickle when it comes to video. They will not stand for poor video service if they are paying for it. People will watch video in poor quality, but they will pay for video in good quality. Okay, so there's a lot of aspects about video that's pretty unforgiving. The second part is optimize. And delivering video is difficult. It's also getting way more complex than it was in the past. So you need to be able to look at optimizing your network. You need to be able to find the hot spots, the cold spots, where maybe you've got overcapacity, where you're not provisioning enough. You need to be able to identify how best to optimize your network to make it the most cost-effective video delivery network that you can. The third one is personalize. If you get the first two legs of the stool there, then you can truly focus on personalizing the service. You can do better targeting of the content. You can start to better target advertising, and that's when you really get into the monetization. Quality will give you a really good array of customers. People like what you're delivering. It's in good quality. That's great. If you've got quality, but you're not optimizing your network, then you're not maximizing your revenue that way. If you've got the quality and the optimization, but you're not using the information and the analytics to better target the customers, then you're leaving more money on the table. So assuming you've got the right content, these three things will allow you to go out there and start optimizing your video and monetize that video experience. So I just want to look at some of the video delivery complexity. This is the world that we live in today. We have operators calling us every single day saying, I can't find where my network's going wrong. There's a problem with the video head end. We're seeing a problem at the devices, but I've got no idea where it started. We're implementing a new protocol and it's not working. We want to look at virtualization. So these are some of the things that we're working on, and we're working on with the entire spectrum of our customers. Ultra HD, HEVC, new forms of encoding. CDNs, on-net CDNs, off-net CDNs, virtualized CDNs, It's getting very, very complicated out there in terms of video delivery. Mobile. There's a huge wave of video about to hit the mobile operators. We know video inside out from IPTV cable and OTT video delivery. We're starting to talk to a lot of mobile operators that are saying, we've got to offer the best video service at this point in time, and we don't really understand video. Can you help? Virtualization. This is hitting every aspect of everything that we do. Most of you will know about the Network Functions Virtualization Working Group within ETSI. Many of you are probably involved in it. There's a huge push for virtualizing video delivery and using data center architectures and cloud architectures to be able to deliver this. Cloud services, linked in with that, but other aspects, cloud transcoding, that kind of thing. Endpoint devices, exponentially growing number of endpoint devices. It's not a set-top box anymore that you can control on a walled garden network. These things are out there across multiple delivery infrastructures. And DRM. DRM is a challenge across all the different devices, all the different content rights and everything else. It all links together. And all of these link. They're not, you can't deal with these in isolation. I was at Mobile World Congress the other week, and the first person that came up to talk to me wanted to talk about virtualization. You really need to be able to understand the complexity of delivering video across all of these different technology methods. So, let's link the two together, the first three phases of monetization and this complexity. This is what we want to do. As operators and content providers, we want to increase the number of subscribers over time. Okay? If you start to overlay some of these things, and there are more things here than were on that original circle, not necessarily in this order either, but you start to get an idea of the complexity that the operators are facing today, and I don't envy them, to be honest, to be able to deal with video delivery and how you're going to handle this expanse of these services with all these different technologies coming through and these different methods of delivering it. So, how does this link back to the monetization cycle? It's an endless process. You have to keep doing it. I can tell you now that we know operators and content providers that have launched these services, tested everything's good, and then as soon as they get more subscribers and the caching servers start getting more loaded, something goes wrong, the caching servers stop caching as they should be, start hitting the origin servers, the whole network falls over. Right? We see this all the time. This is getting more and more complex, and if there's one thing you need to do is every time you get an increase in subscribers, go through that cycle again. You've got to check the quality again, re-optimize your network, start targeting the services again to monetize even more, get more subscribers, and go through the cycle again. This is really a continuous cycle, and this is something that operators are starting to learn and discover by themselves, but through experiencing the pain. Okay? So, the last thing here, which is the blue arrow on the left-hand side at the bottom, is a prompt for me to point out that we're actually seeing a new dynamic which has been occurring in the last few months, which is many people have launched these multi-screen services and they've gone catastrophically wrong. Many of them have worked, many of them haven't. And they've gone catastrophically wrong with paid subscription and premium content. What we're starting to find now is we're getting pulled in before these services are launched. People are saying, just come in. We've worked with you for years. Come in and test this thing out for us and make sure it works before we launch this service next week or next month. And this is working pretty well. We're already finding that we can keel over a 30, 40 gig provision CDN at about 3 gig of traffic, right? Which is a bit worrying, but as long as you know that's going to happen up front, then you've got a lot more confidence when you launch this service, and you've got SLAs to comply with, and you've got the content brand that's at risk as well. So a quick look at the complexity of the delivery infrastructure, and I don't expect you to be able to necessarily read all this. The top part on the left-hand side there is really the traditional IPTV in the cable space. The rest of this, all the clouds, the operator CDNs, the third-party CDNs, the mobile core, all the different devices, this is the complexity that the video delivery industry is facing today. And then no more walled garden networks. This is video going out into places where you cannot see it anymore. And the first thing you know is when the subscribers tell you there's a problem. So I'm going to talk about two types of analytics that we do and we're working with operators on today. One is operational. Operational analytics are represented by the green arrows on here. And I will point out that every arrow you see on this diagram is there because a customer of ours or an operator or a equipment manufacturer or systems integrator has asked us to work with them to solve an issue that occurred at this point in the network. Okay? So operational, the video is good to here, 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 here. It's a pinpointing strategy to determine where your video is going wrong. This is the real-time operational aspect of it. IPTV and cable, we can do that across all the adaptive OTT video delivery as well. Last year we launched a cloud monitoring service. We had a lot of content providers coming to us saying, we're sending video out the head end, it's not arriving at the customers properly, the CDN, our third-party CDN saying they're doing their job, we don't know where it's going wrong. So we put some of our technology into the cloud architecture. We can spin it up in the cloud, and we can join the streams, and we can tell them whether the third-party CDN is doing a good job of delivering those video streams or not. It's a demarcation point. The second phase is the behavioral, and this is what we've been working on for the last few years and what we're actually launching at the show. Behavioral is who's watching what, where, when, on which kind of device. This is the true monetization data, right? We've got the green arrows doing the quality bit, but the purple arrows here give you the monetization. And we're moving forward now to be able to do that at the edge of the CDN infrastructure, virtualized or through hardware probes, and we're working with companies that are working quite closely with the NFV, and we're starting to put some of this technology into the mobile infrastructure as well, with the goal to be able to provide full end-to-end operational behavioral analytics across TV everywhere infrastructures. Okay. Later this year, we're going to be adding in endpoint device support as well on the market-leading devices. And the key here is that that's a service-level view. There's a difference between a service-level view and a network-level view of the world, which I'll talk about in a moment. But as I said earlier, we're doing this because somebody is asking us to help them diagnose issues at these points in the network. Now, real power with this comes where you combine the two. And this is something we're working on this year, and we actually have some solutions that we can show you today if you're interested. When you start overlaying operational with behavioral data, you can start to do really proactive churn management. And this is something, there's a lot of guesswork as to why people leave services today. Our goal is to let you know exactly why they leave the services, or at least 95% sure. So what we're working on is a whole new dimension of analytics, where you can start overlaying quality assurance information on top of behavioral analytics. This is just one example of somebody spinning up a stream in Canada last week. But you'll actually see towards the bottom of that information box, there's all the information on what AS number it is, what the provider is, what the CDN is. We can get all that information. But the real value comes when you start overlaying those little green bars at the bottom. They're the adaptive streaming chunks. We're going to be able to monitor the video quality of somebody driving down the freeway or sitting on a train going from A to B. And we'll be able to profile that and aggregate that up. You could even profile across an entire city infrastructure, find the hot spots, the cold spots, what times of day are the worst video quality. But when you can start linking the two together and understand that actually everybody sitting in New York that's currently using this version of Android on a certain type of tablet is having issues, then you can start to do some really proactive fault churn management and fault control. So the last piece I wanted to talk about here is integration with big data. Everything we do is high-velocity data. It's all real time. We can store months or years of information for you to be able to go back and look historically and see what the trends were, poll the database, generate reports, do pretty much whatever you want to do with the data. But the real power comes when you start doing this in real time. If you hear a lot of the software-defined networking presentations that a lot of the systems integrators and the operators are doing today, they will tell you that you need real-time video analytics to be able to enable things like SDN and dynamic provisioning of resources across network architectures and things like that. Our goal is to provide simplified, meaningful, actionable analytics in real time so you can use those analytics to do better customer support, better targeting of advertising, potentially in real time through things like real-time bidding moving forward as well, and really start to produce some revenue from these services. The red wedge on here is kind of our aspiration. There's a huge lack of resources in understanding big data today. The application level knowledge is missing in the industry, and there's a huge shortage, and it's the biggest issue for CIOs today, Chief Information Officers and Chief Data Officers. We are going to do the red wedge part of this, which is the video analytics. We will provide that data, we will crunch it, we'll make it meaningful, and we'll do it in real time. So you can take those valuable resources that you've got and use them to cross-correlate that information to customer support systems, to advertising management systems, to business targeting systems, whatever you want to do with that. And this is something that's real. This isn't something that's fictional. We're moving into a whole new era of analytics today, and this is superb. The other thing that you need to think about is the service tuning and provisioning efficiencies, as we talked about earlier, but unifying the network and the service view. I just want to clarify that bit before we finish. The service view is if you're monitoring on a player at the endpoint device. It will tell you that your particular content is not being delivered very well, maybe. Okay? But you won't know that a lot of people are getting poor content delivered or poor quality because something's just gone viral on YouTube and the CDN that's supplying you is suddenly consumed with delivering video to somebody else. Okay? That would be a network-centric view of the world. So all those arrows on that diagram are there to be able to give you a combination of network-centric view of the world as well as the service-level view of the world at the end client. Okay? And a combination of the two really gives you the power to figure out what's going on and tune these services. And if you can get all this information, you can get it in real time, and you can get it nicely crunched so you can use the data, you can start focusing your resources on all the other piece of the big data pie, which is where you can really start to generate the revenue. So, conclusion. Customer time to resolution expectations are getting more and more dramatic. Operators used to work on a kind of a 2 or 3 day cycle. Consumers, I saw something the other day that said when consumers send in a customer support request, they would check their phone within 20 minutes, depending on whether they're male or female. It was the time varied a bit, but within 20 minutes to see if they'd got a customer support response. Now that's a whole different world to the one we were used to living in the past. That's the quality side of things. Anything that can be done to reduce CapEx and squeeze more out of these networks, whether it's HEVC, whether it's changing the number of bit rates, whether it's working with different protocols, whether it's tuning how you deliver this stuff, is going to enable you to save more money and deliver a better service. Video's consuming the infrastructure. I'm sure most of you know that. The mobile core is going to get buried as soon as these LTE pipes roll out, because video will fit the bandwidth available. It always does. Okay? HEVC may give us some leeway on that to get some better compression, but as soon as you do, people are going to want higher resolution. Content is expensive. I think everybody's seen how much people are paying for content. So leveraging all this data to make the most of it is absolutely critical. And I know from personal experience that I am more accepting of recommendations, and I would definitely be more accepting of better targeted advertising. A year ago when I started using Netflix, and they kept giving me recommendations, I thought, wow, that's a bit, I'm not sure about that. You know, they're kind of big brotherish, in fact. Now when I go onto Netflix, first thing I do is go and look at those recommendations to see what else they've got that I can watch. It's actually good. People are adapting to this. I think the younger generation picked this up straight away, but I tend to go on my own experiences with this, and I think with better recommendations on the content and better targeted advertising, I would be happy for them to have these analytics. I don't think that's so much of an issue today. So, with that, I'll just reminder of the 3 phases: quality, optimize, and personalize. And with that, I'll say thank you, and I wish you all luck.